Democratic Alliance versus Speaker of National Assembly and others on 18th March 2016 regarding the constitutional validity of Section 11 of the Powers, Privileges and Immunities of Parliament and Provincial Legislatures Act, to establish an ad hoc committee, and the committee to A, review the Act, taking into account the Constitutional Court judgment, and bring it in line with developments relating to parliamentary powers and privileges, and introduce a bill in accordance with Chapter 13 of the Assembly Rules. B, consists of 11 members as follows: ANC 6, DA 2, EFF 1, and other parties 2. C, exercise those powers in Rule 138 that may assist it in carrying out its task, and D, complete its task by the 28th of October 2016. I so move.
Thank you, Honourable Chief Whip. Honourable members, I now put the motion. Are there any objections? No objections. Agreed to. The Secretary will read the first order.
Consideration of report of Portfolio Committee on Home Affairs on Immigration Amendment Bill.
I now recognize the Honourable Chief Whip of the Majority Party.
I move, House Chair, that the report be adopted by this House.
The motion is that the report be adopted. Are there any objections? No objections. Agreed to. The Secretary will read the second order.
Second reading debate, Immigration Amendment Bill.
The Honourable Mashile, the chairperson of the committee, will address the House on this bill. Where is the Honourable member? Order, honourable members. Order, honourable members. We'll get back to the order so that we can continue with the business of the House. The Secretary will read the third order.
Consideration of report of Portfolio Committee on Labour on Unemployment Insurance Amendment Bill.
I now recognize the Honourable the Chief Whip of the Majority Party.
I move again, Chair, that the report be adopted by this House.
The motion is that the report be adopted. Are there any objections? There's no objections. Agreed to. The Secretary will read the last order of the day.
Second reading debate, Unemployment Insurance Amendment Bill.
I now recognize the Honourable the Minister of Labour, who will introduce the bill.
Thank you, Honourable House Chair. Ministers and Deputy Ministers, Honourable Members, and the workers in general.
Honourable members, Honourable Minister, can you just wait there, please? There's too much movement in the House and too much noise. And the Minister is addressing us on an important bill. Proceed, Honourable Minister.
Ngiyabonga ukuthola leli thuba lokuthi ngiphakamise isichibiyelo kule ndlu somthetho wokunxephezela abasebenzi esikhwameni sabo abasebenzi. Sonke siyazi ukuthi kulesikhathi sanamuhla kuthatha isikhathi eside ukuthi umsebenzi olahlekelwe umsebenzi aphinde athole omunye. Ingakho sithe uma sibheka siwuhulumeni kaKhongolo sesabona ukuthi kungaba yinto ebalulekile ukuthi siwuchibiyele lo mthetho ukuze uhlale ulungele ukubhekana nezimo sabasebenzi. Uma ngicaphuna nje kafishane ukuthi iziphi izinto esiphakamisa ukuthi masisicibiyele sithi abasebenzi abasebasha laba basuke besezinhlelweni zokufunda besebenza practical work or learnerships nabo mabahlomule uma bephuma kulezo zinhlelo. Uphinde unike isikhwama igunya lokutshala izimali zawo ezinhlelweni zokusiza abasebenzi ukuthi bakwazi ukuthola amathuba emisebenzi ngokusheshsha ngokubafaka ezinhlelweni zokuqoqeshwa emakhonweni ahlukene izidingo zomnotho. futhi uzonika isikhwama igunya lokutshala izimali ezintweni ezivula amathuba emisebenzi. Uzokwazi ukuthi unike igunya kulesikhwama ukusiza lezo zimboni ezithola zisenkingeni ngakwezomnotho ngokuthi zigweme ukudiliza kwabasebenzi. Lokhu sikenzwa ngokuthatha labo abasebenzi abasuke besengcupheni yokudilizwa bafakwe ezinhlelweni zokuqeqeshwa ngesikhathi besalinde ukuthi isimo somnotho ezinkampanini lapho besuke beqashwe kuzona sibe ngcono ukuze bakwazi ukubuyela emsebenzini. Lokhu esikubiza ngokuthi i-training layoff. Abasebenzi abasuke bebambe amatoha kanjalo nalabo abasebenza ngokuthi uma beqashwa uma kwenziwa isivuno ama-seasonal workers kwi-farming sector nabo ababe ingxenye yokuthi bahlomule kulesi sikhwama futhi abaqashi kube ukuthi bazothela nabesikhwameni. Abasebenzi basezindlini kanjalo nabo bazohlomula kakhulu kulezi zichibiyelo ngoba bazokwazi ukuthi bathole ukuthe xaxa kunalokho bebekuthola ngesikhathi esingaphambilini. Ikakhulukazi abesimame abakhulelwe ngesikhathi bayobeletha bayohlomula ingxenye ngaphezu kwama-60 womholo ebebewuhola ngesikhathi befaka isicelo esikhwameni. Siphakamisa ukuchibiyela ingqinamba yangaphambilini ebithi umsebenzi angeke akwazi ukuhlomula esikhwameni uma eke wahlomula ingakapheli iminyaka emine. Uma lezi zichibiyelo ziba umthetho abasebenzi sebezokwazi ukufaka izicelo zabo yize beke bakwenza lokho ingakapheli iminyaka emine. Umbandela othi umsebenzi kumele afake isicelo sakhe sokuhlomula esikhwameni zingakapheli izinyanga eziyisithupha. Kulomthetho omusha umsebenzi usenezinyanga eziyishumi ukufaka isicelo sakhe. Futhi unika umphathi wesikhwama igunya lokusemukela isicelo uma nje izizathu zinohlonze yize sezidlulise izinsuku ezibekiweyo. Uma umsebenzi obenelungelo lokuhlomula kulesi sikhwama eshona, lowo obengumhlobo kamufi ngokusemthethweni usenezinyanga eziyishumi ukufaka isicelo sokuthola izimali zikamufi. Emthethweni esichibiyelayo abahlobo bakamufi bebenezinyanga eziyisithupha nje kuphela ukufaka izicelo zabo, kodwa kubalulekile kakhulu ngoba kwamanye amasiko esintu owesimama oshonelwe akavunyelwe ukuhamba kungakapheli okungenani izinyanga eziyishumi. Izingane zalabo impilo zabo ebezithembele kumufi nabo bazokwazi ukufaka izicelo zokuthola izimali zikamufi. Inqobo nje uma bebhalisiwe ngokusemthethweni. Ngakho ke abasebenzi kuzomela ukuthi babhalise labo kumele bahlomule uma bedlule emhlabeni. Konke lokhu sikwenza siwuhulumeni kaKhongolose ngoba uyabanakekela abantu bakulelizwe futhi wenza konke okusemandleni ukugwema indlala. Lo mthetho sichibiyelo uyaqeda nya ukuthi labo abasiza abasuke beshonelwe noma labo abangakwazi ukuzifakela izicelo ngokwabo ukuthi bafune inzuzo ngokusiza kwabo. Amahumusha bexhaphaza abafelokazi nezingane ngokubakhokhisa izimali ngokubasiza. Umthetho awusakuvumi ukuthi bakwenze lokho. Isikhathi phakathi kokufaka isicelo nalapho umsebenzi ethola okungokwakhe ikakhulukazi kulabo abahlala ezindaweni ezikude nekomkhulu lesikhwama sezizoshesha ngoba sesizovula amahhovisi kuzo zonke izifundazwe. Sisondeza usizo kulabo abalidingayo siwuKhongolose. Somlomo ngiyafisa ukuthi lendlu ehloniphekile iwemukele lo mthetho futhi ngibonga usihlalo wekomiti kanye namalungu ekomiti ngokuxhasa ngokomsebenzi abakwenzile. Futhi ngibonge inhlangano kazwelonke iNetwork ngokuthi bonke bavumelane ngalomthetho sichibiyelo. Sicela ukuthi lo mthetho sichibiyelo wemukelwe yilendlu ehloniphekile ngokuhlanganyela sithuthukisa uMzansi Afrika. Sisho sithi singabakwantu wo amaqobokazana ngalale ndleleni yazini kunyembelekile. Ngiyabonga sihlalo.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. The next speaker is the Honorable Yengeni.
Honorable House Chair, honorable members of Parliament, guests in the gallery, the African National Congress supports the amendment.
Honorable Yengeni, can you just take your seat, please? Table staff, when a member takes the podium, you must reset the clock so that the member can see the time allocation and also the time that is left, please. You may continue, Honourable Member. We'll monitor it.
The ANC support the amendments to the Unemployment Insurance Act of 2002. In discussing the content of these amendments, I think it is imperative to outline the legislative process followed by the committee on this bill. The Portfolio Committee on Labour considered the UI bill as empowered by the Constitution in Section 55. In processing the bill, the committee facilitated the public involvement as required by Section 59 of the Constitution by inviting interested parties and persons to make submission on the bill to the committee. Submissions were received and were considered by the committee. The committee deliberated on the bill and proposals were made by the committee members and some were incorporated in the bill. As a result, an A and the B version of the bill was produced. The bill was then finalized and sent to the House. In the House, before the second reading, debate was conducted. An amendment was proposed by a member of the committee from DA. As a result thereof, the House sent the bill back to the committee for the committee to reconsider the proposed amendments. This was done in terms of Rule 254 of the National Assembly rules. The committee considered the proposed amendments in terms of Rule 255, and as a result, a C and the D version of the bill was produced. While in the process of considering the proposed amendments as directed by the House, further amendments were proposed by another member of the National Assembly from another opposition party. However, the committee could not deal with that amendment as it is prohibited by Rule 255 to deal with any other amendment other than the one it was instructed to deal with by the House. Honourable Chairperson, the Unemployment Insurance Amendment Bill was referred to the Portfolio Committee on Labour on 13th October 2015. The bill seeks to, among other things, provide for the extension of the unemployment insurance benefits to learners who are undergoing learnership training and civil servants, as well as to extend a contributor's entitlement to benefits under certain circumstances. Subsequent to the receipt of the bill by the committee, the following meetings were held. The department took the committee through the proposed amendments. On the 30th October 2015, the committee held public hearings on the 3rd February 2015. The department provided responses to the issues raised during public hearings to the committee on the 24th February 2016. The committee discussed the clauses of the bill on the 2nd of March 2016 and finalized the bill by adopting a report as ATC'd on the 9th March 2016. The bill was well received by the members of the public and organized labor during the public hearings, as well as by all the members of the committee. Notwithstanding the above, the committee members agreed that the following clauses be deleted from the bill. 1. Clause 4, which aimed to amend Section 11 of the Act, providing the designation of the commissioner or any appropriate employee or functionary of the fund or the department to perform the functions of the accounting authority on such conditions as the minister may determine. Number 2, Clause 10B7, which aimed to exclude a contributor who voluntarily terminated her pregnancy from receiving maternity benefits. Furthermore, the committee members were assured that the implementation of proposed amendments were not going to have a negative impact on the financial status of the fund. The bill will see that the individuals on learnership and their employers, government employees and fixed-term workers required to leave South Africa on expiration of their term, also receive benefits from the UIF. The amendment comes at the right time when thousands of workers in mines and farms are threatened by retrenchments. This amendment is a relief to both employed and unemployed workers of our country. ANC government delivers services to the people at the right time. It is for that reason that workers in the next coming local government elections will vote ANC in their big numbers. Amasabekelangeni, kuzophela amaphupha. Workers will vote ANC because it is the only party that was always championed the aspiration of workers as early as when the ANC was formed. Workers will not vote DA because it is a racist party. Workers will vote ANC because all their organizations were formed with the support and assistance of the ANC. Workers will not vote DA because it supports capital over labor. Workers will vote ANC because the ANC is their traditional ally, not only for their realization of their factory floor demands, but for a free democratic South Africa. Workers will not vote DA because it is opposed to COSATU. Workers will vote ANC because the ANC is the only party in parliament which brought about a new progressive labor legislations in the Republic. Workers will not vote DA because it wants to amend and weaken workers' victory in relation to labor legislation. Just yesterday, they rejected a budget vote that is going to change and improve the workers, the lives of the workers. Workers will vote ANC because their federation, COSATU, is part of the tripartite alliance with the ANC and SACP for a free, democratic and prosperous South Africa. Workers will not vote DA because it supports all international institutions that are opposed to workers' international solidarity. Once more, the African National Congress supports this bill, and I thank you.
The Honorable Ollis.
Thank you, Chairperson. The point is, of course, that the DA supports this bill and all of its implications because it's going to help not workers but unemployed South Africans. The minute you are unemployed in this country, you're in a terrible situation. You may have no financial means to support yourself. And this bill is going to tap into that 128 billion rand fund or reserve fund that the UIF has to give workers that become unemployed additional benefits. It's going to put money in the hands of ordinary unemployed South Africans, and we wholeheartedly support this. And every political party in this parliament supported this bill and its amendments. Of course, we did make amendments because we thought that certain parts of it should be tightened up, and all of our amendments were agreed to. So much for the bill. However, it would be wrong of me not to comment on some things that happened in this House yesterday. The honourable member from the NFP spoke some utter rubbish in this House. If you look at what he said to my colleague, his comments were extremely homophobic. And as a gay South African, I find it completely unacceptable that somebody who is a member, an honourable member of this House, can come to this House and make these kinds of homophobic comments to cheers. It's unacceptable. Secondly, he told us...
Honourable Ollis, will you just take your seat, please?
Sure.
Yes, Honourable Minister, why are you rising?
I think, Chairperson, I note the honourable member referred to is not in the House. Very serious allegations are made, which are counter to the principle and ethos of our Constitution. Given those charges that are being made and allegations, I think the honourable member should be warned to be present in the House in order to have an opportunity to respond to the allegations made, particularly with reference to offences related to the Constitution.
No, Honourable Minister, no, Honourable Minister is correct. And furthermore, Honourable Ollis, if you have such a strong view on what happened in another session of the House, you should submit a substantive motion so that we can activate the necessary processes to deal with that.
Chairperson, I'm guided by you. I think I've made my point. I'm happy to raise it when honourable members in the House, if that's
Or submit a substantive motion.
as you like.
Thank you.
Thank you. Furthermore, he told us about the wonderful heaven that is the municipality run by the NFP in coalition with the ANC in Zululand. He told us about the water. You know, remember the wonderful water? They've got all this water that they're providing for all these people, and the Democratic Alliance doesn't do it. Let me quote to you from the city press.
Point of order, Chair.
No, clearly I'm
Honourable
gonna be
Wallace, take a seat, please. Yes, Honourable Member.
We are debating Labour amendment bill. Therefore, I think the member is really out of order. It cannot be. It cannot be.
Order, Honourable
On the
Members.
floor. It cannot be that we are dealing with yesterday's debate in the Labour
Thank you,
debate.
Honourable
It
Member.
cannot be.
Thank you, Honourable Member. Honourable Wallace, let me just remind you that we are dealing with this bill, and let's stay within the ambits of the discussion that is currently on the order paper.
Chairperson.
Order, Honourable Members.
Chairperson.
Order, Honourable Members. I'm still busy making a ruling, Honourable Waters. I'll come back to you once I've done so. So in your input, please focus on what is currently in front of us on the order paper, Honourable Wallace. Yes, Honourable Member?
Chairperson, may I address you?
Yes?
Chairperson, yesterday during the budget votes, many ANC members spoke about everything but the budget vote and gave us history lessons on many fronts. And not one presiding officer brought them into line that they should be talking specifically on the budget.
No.
Honourable Alice is giving comment.
Order, Honourable Members.
Honourable Alice is giving comment on the bill before us, and he's talking about water, which many workers and unemployed people.
Honourable Member, you are making a. You are now. Honourable
I
Waters.
don't know what your problem actually is.
Honourable Waters, you made your point. Honourable Wallace, as your Deputy Chief, will be saying that the ambit of the bill must be your point of reference. Will you deal with it like that? And may I also state, Honourable Deputy Chief Whip, that generally presiding officers do not raise points of order in the House. We deal with points of order that are being raised by members, and we do not interfere in the debate of a member unless another member has a point that he or she wants to raise. Honourable Wallace.
Thank you, Chairperson. Let me rephrase. Workers are not going to vote for the NFP or the ANC because of this, you see. This is how you treat them. According to the city press, a person called Nshaba was born in the village situated in the heart of that Zululand district municipality, is disillusioned and angry as she scoops water out of a hole she dug in the riverbed with her 15-year-old daughter. The shallow pools where residents and workers have to come to Kwamusi and Silva, who are waiting to be connected to the municipal's pipeline, drew water for their homes and washed their clothes in the sand banks of the river. The only water left is about 50 centimeters on the riverbed, seared to the color of concrete. That's what the NFP and the ANC provide to workers in Zululand. But it goes further. There's a report. Water that's provided to those workers has to be drawn from the river for 26% of the population in Edembe, if I pronounce that correctly. 26% of workers in Pongolo have to draw their water out of the river. And in Abakulusi, 12% of the workers have to draw their water out of a river. And it's even worse in Nongoma. 38% of workers, you leave them to draw water out of a river. You don't provide water to them. Let's get to the toilets you provide for the workers in that municipality, okay? Pit toilets.
Order, Honourable Members.
57% of the workers in Edembe have to use pit toilets because you don't provide sanitation for them. 60% in Pongolo have to use pit toilets because you don't provide toilets for them, and the NFP doesn't either. In fact, they've named those pit toilets Magwazas, which is named after the long-serving former mayor of the National Freedom Party, Zanele Mangwaza Msebisi.
Honourable Member, your time has now expired.
Get the message.
The next speaker is the Honourable Dudley.
Thank you, Chair. Now I'll bring us back to the subject, even if I'm going to tell you everything you already know. So the Unemployment Insurance Amendment Bill seeks to provide, amongst other things, for the extension of unemployment insurance benefits to learners doing learnership training, to civil servants, to adjust accrual rate of contributors' entitlement, to provide for process of application for maternity benefits, and to empower the Unemployment Insurance Board to provide for functions of the Regional Appeals Committee. The Unemployment Insurance Act itself covers the establishment of the UIF, a fund to which employers and employees contribute, and from which employees who become unemployed can benefit, alleviating the harmful economic and social effects of unemployment. The UIF system plays a key role in South Africa's social security architecture, particularly since it is the only arm of our social security that caters for the previously employed unemployed. It operates in the case of involuntary unemployment, where a person has contributed to UIF and is capable of and available for work if they have accumulated sufficient UIF credits before becoming unemployed. They're entitled to unemployment benefits for up to 8 months, provided that the unemployed person applies for benefit within 6 months of losing their job. Benefits paid out are between 38% to 68% of the insured person's average earnings in the last 6 months, depending on the period of service and level of income of that person. The benefit should be paid after a 14-day waiting period, which I believe is not the case. According to actuaries, the proposed amendments will not have a negative impact on the financial status of the fund, and that the fund will be able to cover the cost of the proposed amendments without any difficulties. The inclusion of public servants will of course not affect the budget of the state, since the UIF will pay benefits and government will reimburse the actual expenses paid as benefits. All that is left to say is that the ACDP will be supporting this amendment. Thank you.
Honourable members, the next speaker on the speakers list is the Honourable Mbinda. But I see there's no one in the waiting bench here. Please, honourable members, you are unnecessarily delaying the work of this House if you do not move to the waiting benches.
Thanks, Honorable Chair. Maybe my list was not amended. You see, I still expected more. Greeting to you, all honorable members present in the House today. On behalf of the Pan-Africanist Congress of Azania, let me first communicate our great disappointment to the ruling party that 22 years into their government, our people still remain unemployed, thus extremely poor. The riches of this country are still in the hands of our oppressors, who have just co-opted a few black families and corrupted key political figures in the ruling party, and our people remain in the same shacks as in the apartheid days. This bill is part of the continuous insult of the intelligence of our people, through giving them false hope that this is a step towards the eradication of the miseries they are living under on a daily basis. We have said it before and will continue saying it, that for as long as the means of production are still in the hands of the few elite, there is absolutely no way we can liberate our people in the socio-economic ills that they are faced with. This bill can only bring about cosmetic changes to the living conditions of the poor majority of this country, and a clear reflection of the inability of the ANC government to take decisive political stance against white monopoly capital in the interest of our people. Key amongst other reasons of this inability is them being beneficiaries of this economic setup that continue to impoverish our people. As Parliament, We need more political willingness than we are giving and begin to focus on bills and legislature that will deal directly with the redress, redistribution, restitution, and address the imbalances, poverty and unemployment and landless that our people find themselves in as a result of colonization. Fellow countrymen and women, we have a collective responsibility to ensure that society we are living in prosper and we stop wasting taxpayers' monies, playing funny childish games in this parliament. And if people are power mongers, they seek popularity, they want to be filmmakers, parliament is not the right place for that. Thank you.
The next speaker is the Honourable Esterhuizen.
Thank you, Chairperson. I read this on behalf of the Honourable Mwangu. This bill seeks to improve service delivery of unemployment insurance to UIF contributors by addressing shortcomings of the Principal Act and introducing certain improvements such as a wider scope of application in terms of beneficiaries, extensions of benefit periods, extensions of maternity rate benefits, as well as aspects of employment retention and re-entry of UIF contributors into the labour market. There are considerable amendments and much needed developments to unemployment insurance in South Africa, and as such are all welcomed by the Inkatha Freedom Party. But there remain elements of concern. The absence of independent appeal system, maternity rights inconsistencies, dependent benefits, and a few instances poorly formulated provision, which may lead to unnecessary legal disputes once the bill becomes enacted into law. There's no doubt that a revision of the Principal Act was necessary. The mandate of alignment of unemployment insurance in South Africa with international and regional standards flows directly from our Constitution. In that, we are bound to bring our domestic laws into alignment with ratified international agreements to which we are party. There are, however, a few areas in which compliance must still be attended to. Here I speak of waiting periods for access to unemployment and prescribed minimum periods of benefit. Such non-alignment with, in particular, the standards of the ILO must be rectified. Honourable Speaker, our economy is currently going through a period of great contraction and almost stagnant economic growth. Employment is conservatively estimated at around 27%. Jobs are scarce, and in this regard, we would call for greater impetus and capacity to be placed on the employment retention and reintegration. The IFP does not support the argument that unemployment benefits should be extended to those who voluntarily resign from their employment, except in circumstances of good cause shown for as medical reasons or in cases proven constructive of dismissal. In conclusion, the IFP supports the bill. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Member. The next speaker is the Honourable Bahrain.
Mr. Speaker, on behalf of the Democratic Alliance, I hereby accept the amendments to the Unemployment Insurance Fund. The Democratic Alliance has a strong tradition of supporting the unemployed and the many who have lost their jobs. There are very few safety nets for the unemployed in South Africa, and indeed for those who lose their positions. The DA has gone on record on many occasions, on every platform, to seek help for those who have been injured on duty. The Democratic Alliance has a proud and beautiful history of helping the unemployed. Today, the amendments that we see the Unemployment Fund are beneficial. In the short time that I have had the ability to outline these amendments, actually, I can say that each and every amendment affecting the unemployed is to the individual's benefit. The extension of the claims and the inclusion of many categories can only be praised. The golden thread running throughout the Democratic Alliance support of the extension of benefits to the unemployed is evidenced in many of the amendments that we see here today. The Democratic Alliance has been actively supporting these extensions, and we have carefully studied and underwritten the majority of the proposals. We as a political party standing for the rights of the unemployed raise our voice whenever we see the suffering and hardship of those who have lost their jobs. It is the Department of Labour and our Honourable Minister who has helped with these amendments going through and alleviating some of the hardships, for which I thank them. An interesting but shocking example how the Department of Labour is destroying staff morale is the debacle that took place at Simon's Town Hall in Cape Town. The staff are friendly and effective, but the department apparently did not pay the rent for the town hall and staff had to set up on the pavement outside. Despite these problems, they are deserving people. The Department of Labour, and in particular the UIF, have once again destroyed what little faith we've had in the department. We all know that almost 9 million people in South Africa today are unemployed. We all know the situation and our current government is getting worse. We have one party in Parliament that is just hot air. They parrot slogans with no action. Their dismal performance in delivery, and in particular the Portfolio Committee of Labour, speaks for itself. We have the ANC, who have become an international joke. The ANC has fed the perception for the world that you are a joke. You have fed the perception of a failed state. Although the Democratic Alliance support the amendments, it would be refreshing to hear some stories as to how the Unemployment Insurance Fund is going to better its service delivery. It is all very well to have legislation, and we have some of the best legislation in the world, but we have incompetent people who are appointed into jobs because of their pals. We hear on a daily basis cries from the public about lost papers, long queues, inability to register, and even locked Department of Labour offices. It is almost useless to have world-class legislation when you can't back it up with delivery. The most vulnerable in our society, the unemployed, are treated not only badly, but sometimes not at all. The real issue in South Africa today is at 30% unemployment, and there's no one other than the Democratic Alliance that has raised their voice of concern. The battle of the unemployed is ongoing, and only the DA can deliver. Every person has an experience of frustration at the behest of non-delivery of government inaction should come out and speak loudly for the DA. The concerned Democratic Alliance will do everything in its power to ensure that our principles...
Honourable Member, your time has expired.
Thank you.
The next speaker is the Honourable Loliwe. Order, Honourable Members.
Thank you, Honourable Chair. As the African National Congress, we support this bill. We welcome it because South African workers, especially those in vulnerable sectors, have suffered a lot in the past. The ANC, as a leader of society, has a responsibility to ensure labor peace and also that everybody is subjected to pieces of legislation that are not oppressive. The extended scope that is brought by this bill, which now includes domestic workers and those defined in Section 1 of the Public Service Act of 1994, will make it possible for many workers to benefit. We are aware that UIF beneficiaries have to be in possession of specified credits in order for them to qualify for these benefits for a determined period of payment. We understand that currently our economy is bleeding jobs, so these amendments will come as a relief to our people. It will benefit mostly the vulnerable workers, which are the ones that are close to us as ANC members. It will extend unemployment benefits to employees who are under contract as well as those covered by the Public Service Act, as I've already indicated. As a committee, we subjected this bill, as the chair has said, to participatory democracy, where we invited people to share their interest. We are then perturbed to learn that there are those who are coming here now to pretend as if they were not agreeing with us or were bringing forward convincing arguments as we were in the committee. As the ANC, for instance, we do not regret arguing
against the use of lawyers by the claimants, because there are lawyers who want to be middle persons for those who will be claiming maternity leave, to say they'll claim on their behalf. As the ANC, you are saying a big no, because what is going to be paid out of this UIF is not enough to pay the services of a lawyer and also assist the unemployed person. It cannot be correct that they spend money for a service that is provided for free by the Department of Labor. Bantu baseMzantsi Afrika, ngurhulumente okhokelwa yi-ANC owabona kuyimfuneko ukuza nalo mthetho we-UIF usuka ngo-2001. Isekwanguye nobone ukuba kukho izikhewu, yiyo le nto sixoxa le nto namhlanje. Thina ke siyi-African National Congress, asithethi ngekati esengxoweni, sithi nazi izinto esizenzela abantu. Sisezawuthi gqolo sibenzela siyi-African National Congress. Kukho impazamo ezenziweyo zowulahlekisa abemi baseMzantsi Afrika, zisenziwa zezinye zezithethi ebeziphambi kwam. Ndicela ukhumbuza uHonorable Ollis that we visited a farm last year in the Eastern Cape, the town of Berlin in particular, where we were told that the son of the white farm owner there swims in a dam that is meant for the workers to draw water. Secondly, you are quoting incidents of Zululand here. The Zululand areas there that you quoted, there are white farmers there who refuse any development in their land. That is why people are subjected to those circumstances. Do you still remember how a black boy was banned by a farm owner because it was alleged he was trespassing? Remember, we are not the ones who own, we are the ones who are poor. Our kids travel from school on foot sometimes, and farm workers, because they have their protected territories, do as they please. Honorable Ollis, do you still remember the boy that was dragged by a tractor by a farm, a white farmer? Do you still remember the big numbers of workers that are dismissed by white farmers? I'm quoting all these, referring to these provinces, but can you take account of who the owners of those farms are? There's a common factor, it's white farmers who are owners. So don't attribute these ill treatments to provinces, but rather look at the one that owns the means of production. I may understand the mistakes you have made because you are a bit depressed. Venya has resigned from DA. Honorable Mbinda, you don't stop to amaze me. You come here, you are saying we are bluffing when we talk of amendments. Are you aware that Parliament is currently dealing with a mess that you left at Maibuye because the poor pensioners at the gate were employees of a company that was before Maibuye, where you were CEO? What have you done as a Pan-Africanist? And why is it that it's only black ex-employees that are at the gate? As a CEO, did you only pay white employees and never paid our black people that are out there? So don't come and mislead people. You are saying legislation is just cosmetic changes. We understand you are the new kid in the block. When we pass law in Parliament, we make sure that it is implemented to the latter. You have a responsibility to monitor implementation of these amendments that we are quoting. And we also understand you are a shadow person in the committee. It's the big brothers that sit in the committee. Remember, you are a lone ranger here, so you can't be everywhere. So those who sit in the committee on your behalf are briefing you halfway. understand the representative from the IFP is talking of Independent Appeals Board. The Principal Act is carrying it as it is. So you must understand that it won't be easy to implement the changes. And also, there was an attempt by those who sit in the committee, because also the IFP is an alternate, but they did not come with convincing argument. Then to the one who spoke before me, which fight are you lodging on behalf of unemployed people? Because you can't have your brothers dismissing our brothers and sisters and mothers, and on the other hand say you are fighting for the unemployed. Instead, you are making sure that the unemployment rate is going high in South Africa. A case in point, in my own constituency, there are members or there are people who were dismissed by their employer, who is also unfortunately a white person, who decided to leave them in the lurch, running away to another province without having paid out what is due to them. Yes, I've seen you coming with toys in the house, and the only thing I can tell you is that in December, you can be appointed as a Father Christmas. When you were wearing that, I wanted you not to take it off. You are a good one. I'll raise funds so that in my constituency, when I'm making Christmas for kids, I hire you. Lastly, I want to say to South Africans, there's only one party that has been in the trenches fighting for your rights and will continue doing so. Never ever sell out your mandate. Give it to the relevant party, and that is none other than the 105-year-old, the African National Congress. Thank you, Veli Swamvenya, for at last seeing that DA is not your home. You have been crying about racism there, but now that you have left, being their only hope amongst the black people, we are saying, bravo, my sister. We are welcoming others. They must also leave
Honorable
before
member, your
they
time
have
has now
danced like
expired.
Veliswa. I thank you.
The next speaker is the Honorable Minister of Labour. Order, honourable members.
Thank you very much, House Chairperson. House Chairperson, okokuqala, I want to thank all political parties for supporting these amendments. And that confirms that it's only African National Congress that can be able to lead the people of South Africa and nobody else. And it has been confirmed even by the Democratic Alliance today. I just want to remind Honorable Ollis that
Order,
during
honourable members.
apartheid, they didn't fight against the homelands, particularly the homeland of Zululand. If you did so, Zululand was not going to be where it is today. But the African National Congress has delivered in that particular area that you are talking about, and you don't even know where Zululand is. I was born in Zululand and I come from Zululand, and you can't
point of
tell
order,
me what has
Chairperson.
happened in that particular
Honourable
area.
Minister, will you just take a seat, please? Order, honourable members. What is the point of order, honourable member?
The minister is misleading this House. My degree is from the University of Zululand. I
No,
got it
honourable
there.
member, that's a point of information. It's not a point of order. Continue, honourable member.
Thank you, House Chair. The University of Zululand is around Empangeni, not in Vryheid, where the honorable member was talking about. And Ungoye is under Utungulu, not Zululand. Honorable members, what we are doing as the Department of Labour, we are guided by the Constitution of South Africa, the Freedom Charter, and the Manifesto of the African National Congress that was adopted in 2014. And we are going to continue to do so. And as Honorable Loliwe has said, unfortunately, Honorable Bahrain, really, you were a Father Christmas. You don't even know the colors of the African National Congress. And the worst part of it is that you are saying internationally the ANC is not recognized. If you go to the ILO as we speak, South Africa will be chairing the International Labour Conference for the coming conference of the ILO. And it's because they recognize the African National Congress and the government of South Africa. And unfortunately, Honorable Mbinda, you know,
Honourable Minister, your time is now
so I
expired.
won't have time to respond to Ispung Mangati, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Honourable Minister. That completes the speakers list. Are there any objections? Order, honourable members. Are there any objections to the bill being read a second time? No objections agreed to. The Secretary will read the bill a second time.
Unemployment Insurance Amendment Bill.
The bill will be sent to the National Council of Provinces for concurrence. Honourable members, I want to get back to the second order. The Secretary will read the second order again.
Second reading debate, Immigration Amendment Bill.
I now recognize the chairperson of the committee who will address the House on the bill.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Chair, I want to indicate that the Department of Home Affairs is now part of the security cluster of the executive. This assignment comes with serious implications. All activities of this department have to pass security risks to the state. It is for this reason that the Portfolio Committee resolved to remove the risk posed by foreign nationals that overstay their visas. Chairperson, with the introduction of this Immigration Amendment Bill, B5/2016, the committee seeks to amend the Immigration Act 2002 so as to provide for adequate sanction for foreigners who have overstayed in the Republic beyond the expiry date of their visas. In the past, the regime provided for penalty fees which proved inefficient. Maybe one should explain the danger posed by overstayers. It is important that Home Affairs should at all times account on foreigners in the country and their reasons and time of being in the Republic. Past experiences are that foreigners will overstay on a particular visa and disappear into our communities without trace. Some even try to convert their visa terms or throw away and apply for asylum. Such persons pose danger as their biometrics as citizens do not exist. If involved in a crime, you cannot apprehend them. We therefore have many in our country who overstayed and disappeared into our communities, and they are undocumented. This amendment is done on Section 32 of the Principal Act, where we provide for a disqualification of a foreigner who, from getting a visa or an entry visa to the Republic or admission into the Republic or getting a permanent resident permit for a prescribed period if such foreigner have overstayed. This provision also includes recourse to any foreigner who is aggrieved by such disqualification to make representation to the Director General for review. Note should be made that this amendment will apply to first offenders in terms of this section. Repeat overstayers will graduate to banishment for a specified period in terms of other provisions of this Act. We believe that this provision will enhance the capacity of the department to manage the flow of foreigners into the Republic and ensure their security on the other side. I need to indicate that this is a committee bill introduced in terms of Rule 238 of the National Assembly rules. The committee was granted permission to proceed with the legislative proposal on the 25th of November 2015. Prior notice of introduction of the bill, together with explanatory summary of the draft bill as well as the draft bill, was published in the Government Gazette on the 11th of December 2015, including a notice of invitation to interested persons and institutions to submit written representations on the draft bill. The invitation was published also in City Press and Mail and Guardian in English, as well as in Ipondo in isiXhosa and the Free State News in Sesotho. The committee also consulted the joint taking mechanism in terms of Rule 239, Sub 1, for advice on the classification of the bill. We received 12 submissions in total. These submissions were deliberated on and the department responded on all of them. The deliberations happened on the 8th of March 2016 and on the 15th of March 2016, the date on which the committee adopted the report. It is, however, regrettable that the DA chose to abstain while the EFF opposed the bill. All other parties are in support of this bill. On the quest to ensure security of the state and making sure that citizens and legal foreigners feel safe and are indeed safe, this bill is necessary and urgent. I therefore put the report to this House for consideration and approval. Thank you very much.
Are there any objections to the bill being read a second time? There's no objections.
Chairperson, the DA would like to make a declaration. Thank you.
DA?
Thank you very much, House Chair. Okokuqala umyalezo endifuna ubeka into yoba after iminyaka engamashumi amabini anesibini ecala lingapha lisabona abantu ngokwekhala ngokwebala. Umzekelo i-National Party yabhubha nayiginya apha kuni ngaphakathi kodwa nibuyela back kwingcinezelo. Lihlazo ke lo ngamanyala enyoka. Into endifuna ikhuthaza apha umzekelo mnye i-overall ezibomvu ziphuma phi ngabantwana benu zifuze emzekweni ziphuma apha kuni. Mandibulele House Chair.
Order, honorable members.
Manel Tuba.
Order, honorable members.
This bill has been before our committee on a few occasions, and we welcome the open and the frank debate that was held in the committee. There were a few areas of concern that the DA expressed with original draft, and we appreciate the indulgence of the committee in accepting the proposed changes. Not to say besingasebenzisana committee, besebenzisana ngekommittee, kodwa sifuna ukuqonda before sivumelane ngento, ilungele ke udebate into. We are satisfied that the matter of concern that was raised have been addressed. And lo mbutho wabantu, umbutho wethemba, umbutho ozakwenza utshintsho, umbutho womntu wonke ongabona abantu boMzantsi Afrika ngokwebala, obona uMzantsi Afrika as i-Africans. Uyayixhasa ke le bill, enkosi kakhulu.
The ACDP.
Thank you, Chair. The ACDP welcomes the Immigration Amendment Draft Bill, which aims to provide adequate sanctions for foreign nationals who have overstayed in the Republic beyond the expiry
Order, honorable
date of
members.
the visa. There is now clarity that those who have stayed beyond the expiry date do not qualify for a port of entry visa. A visa admission into the Republic or a permanent residence permit will be declared undesirable for a certain period of time, depending on the length of his or her overstay. We note that in February, government announced that Basotho nationals living in South Africa without the right documents will only face deportation after the 31st of December 2016. And for Kenyans, South Africa has relaxed visa rules with a recent agreement to extend a 10-year multiple entry visa to South Africa for Kenyan business people and academics. Kenyan students studying in South Africa will be offered a long-term visa which will be aligned to their course of study or schoolwork. Now, with regard to Zimbabweans, however, there are many incorrect, undated and outdated media reports detailing South African visa options. So applicants are advised to check that with the Department of Home Affairs website as an initial source of information for updates and not to rely on media or other websites. This will also avoid the risk of being taken in by con artists trying to make money off of foreign nationals who do not have the correct official information regarding requirements, etc. The ACDP notes Zimbabweans in South Africa will soon be able to continue working, studying, or running their businesses following negotiations in March between the two governments that will see an indefinite extension of the expiry of permits legalizing their stay in South Africa. Authorities have been seeking to regularize the stay of qualifying Zimbabwean immigrants through special dispensation permits. So although the special permits were should last through to 2017, they required Zimbabweans to return home and apply for an extension from there. The ACDP, along with many Zimbabweans who have made a life and a home in South Africa, is pleased to see that Zimbabweans in South Africa will soon no longer need to make the costly journey home to process their permits, as modalities are being finalized to extend the permit renewal deadline from South Africa. The ACDP recognizes efforts by the department is to make it easier to get experts and skills in general into South Africa to promote growth through skilled immigration. We also appreciate work being done to ease travel of bona fide travelers across the continent, and this legislation is important to ensure clarity regarding checks and sanctions so as not to undermine safety and security efforts, which are also important. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Member. The IFP.
Thank you, Honorable Chairperson. This bill is primarily concerned with the provision of an adequate sanction in respect of foreigners who have overstayed their visit to South Africa. It is in essence a clarification bill which seeks to clear up confusion over the issue of desirability of foreigners to re-enter South Africa once they have been already transgressed the expiry dates on their previous visa. Currently, Section 30.1 of the Immigration Act makes provision for various classes of foreigners and the grounds upon which they may be declared undesirable by the Director General of Home Affairs. Section 30.1 has been found to be particularly problematical in this regard and has led to many appeals and legal disputes being instituted over interpretational issues in this section. The bill before us now clarifies the issue regarding a foreigner who has overstayed his or her visa on only one occasion and whether or not he or she will be granted another entry to South Africa. Honorable Chairperson, since 2010, we have had just under 400,000 foreigners who have overstayed their welcome in South Africa. This places strain on the administrative and policing capacities of the department and is a burden on the country's resources. It also fuels xenophobia and other criminal activities. The department must adopt a proactive approach and preempt overstays from occurring by conducting proper screening of foreigners at our ports of entry. In conclusion, the IFP supports the bill. I thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Member. The ANC.
The Chair of the House, honorable members, ladies and gentlemen, and the fellow South African and the world at large, good morning. May I take this opportunity to say that the African National Congress supports the Home Affairs Committee report as outlined by the chair of the committee. May I also remind this august House that African National Congress government is not homophobic or xenophobic. The African National Congress government has reclassified Home Affairs under the Justice crime prevention, and security cluster. It is therefore stating that and re-emphasizing that the safety, the security of all in South Africa is a prerequisite. Also to remind you that not all that visit our beautiful country come with the right intention, as they did in 2,000 years ago by the person named Van Riebeck. He overstayed their intention when they came.
Order, honorable members.
It was to build a refreshment station.
Order,
But
honorable members.
they stole everything, even our dignity, because they took an advantage of our kindness. But the African National Congress said, no, these criminal injustices, cruel tendencies to our fellow South Africans.
Honorable member,
That is the
honorable
reason.
member, will you just take a seat, please? Take your seat, please. Why are you rising, honorable member?
Thank you, House Chair. But just on a point of order, the honourable member is misleading the House. She said that Van Riebeck arrived 2,000 years ago.
Honourable
I
member,
think she's confusing
honourable member,
Jesus
take your
Christ
seat,
with
please.
thank
Continue, honourable
Whatever
member.
date that they came in here, whether 2,000 years or whatever, but they stole our land. That is the reason the African National Congress brought
Order,
our
honourable
dignity back.
members.
This is the story to tell our children, our neighbors, and some sell in and some sell out. I asked one of our African sisters, Yvonne Chaka Chaka, I said, Weso, why you are always singing this song? Who is the man calling me a stranger in my mama land? Who is that stranger if it's not the DA? And another song, ladies and gentlemen, Mawawuyeke lo mhlaba wethu.
Honorable member, your time is now expired.
Mama, sishoda ngawe. Do not vote for DA
Honourable
or
member,
EFF.
your
Vote
time
for the
has
ANC. I
expired.
thank you.
Order, honourable members. Order. Order, honourable members. I'll put the question again. Are there any objections to the bill being read a second time? Order. There's no objections. The bill is thus agreed to. The secretary will read the bill a second time.
Immigration Amendment Bill.
The bill will be sent to the National Council of Provinces for concurrence. Honourable members, there is a request from the House Chairperson, the DISA, for all members of Parliament who are part of the capacity building program with the University of the Witwatersrand to remain behind in the chamber so that she can meet with you. Honourable members, that concludes the business of the day and the House is adjourned.